Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Fabrizio Aiello. Welcome to What is Fabrizio Inking? I am the creator of Horace Hoover. Issues 1 and 2 are available at alternativecomics.com. It's an occult mystery adventure starring Horace Hoover, who wears a vacuum cleaner on his head. Check it out. So today, I'm actually not going to be inking, I'm going to be drawing. So I was going to do an old pinup, but I decided to start a brand new one. So I had roughed out this pinup a while ago, and I'm gonna continue. So we'll see how this goes. Just a great intro. I can't do intros. If I could just bypass the first 5 minutes of the stream, I'd be fine. Every time I'm like, I don't know. Although there is a really bad delay again. I think we're okay. How's it going? I have my very Christmassy mug. I rarely draw on stream. I'm always inking because inking's a lot easier. When you have everything already laid out, at that point you're just kind of executing. So this will be interesting. Yeah. It's also a drawing that I had started quite a while ago. So things change pretty quickly when you're drawing on a regular basis. So we'll see. It's kind of like I think I had a tentative title of Vampire Grandpa or something. I don't know exactly what that means, but that was the first thing that came to mind. Great way to spend a snowy Sunday. Oh man, you got snow? I wish it was snowing here. I have not seen a non-ink vid, so excited. Cool. Yeah, I'll probably still be keeping it to an hour, so I don't know how far I'll get. Usually pinups like this take at least several hours. But as long as it comes through, which looks like you should be able to see it all right. You'll see that I do a lot of erasing. That was one of the big, I know this sounds ludicrous, but that was one of the big like light bulb moments I had. I used to bail on drawings really early. And then one day I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to keep erasing and redrawing until I get there. And once I did that, I'm like, oh, I just gotta give myself a little more room to breathe. You know, it's okay to erase and erase and erase, as long as the paper will take it. And do it as many times as you need. I was actually going to do a little tip video on how to erase. I'll talk about it during this drawing, because the erasing is just as important as the drawing. So you have snow. Where are you located? I'm in PA, so we don't have any snow yet. Or at least in Pittsburgh, I should say. The paper I use to pencil this Strathmore 200, Michigan. That makes sense. We're not too far as temperature, but definitely you're further up there. Yeah, so this vampire-looking guy. I never want to do just a straight vampire or zombie or something like. I try to at least do something a little different, even if it's something minor like the clothes or like a hairstyle or something, just so it doesn't look like everybody else's vampire or zombie or something like that. And sometimes age is a great way to differentiate. Make the vampire really old or really young or something like that. So this stage of the drawing, I'm definitely just... This isn't the final pencils that you'll see, because I will essentially... I'll get this to a certain point, and then I'll take the kneaded eraser, and I will essentially erase, like, I don't know, 70% of it. So you can just see a light outline of everything, and then I'll do the final the pencils from that. So this, I'm just trying to find the right line. Make sure all my perspective is right, and erasing the lines that aren't right. Funny thing is, the more you draw a character, the more you naturally change things. And for me, I definitely have sort of like beefed up the wheels on his helmet. Because at first they were really thin wheels, but I don't know, it just felt natural just to make them a little thicker, a little more industrial, instead of these wheels that look like they would just snap right off if you wheeled around this big metal vacuum. Question about reading comics. When reading, how long do you spend in a panel? Do you linger or read quickly? I don't know if other people do this or not. I tend to read really quickly, and then I always come back to the art later and just kind of pore over the artwork. But yeah, I think I just naturally go really quickly. Again, I don't know if other people do that. And then when I go back and look at the art, maybe you read a panel here or there again, but it's really just to kind of soak in the art a little more. That's one of the tough things about spending a lot of time, like doing all the detail backgrounds that I do. They say that most people spend, I don't know what it is, 1 to 4 seconds on a panel to read it. Meanwhile, you're spending hours of drawing one panel. But I look at it as, yeah, that may be the case. You only spend 5 seconds on it, on that initial read through. But, like I said, you can go back and look at the art as many times as you want. And then you can pick out the details, see if there's anything you missed in the background maybe that had something to do with the story. So that's kind of my take on it. I guess I always want to get to the story faster, and that's why I would read probably faster than most people, I guess. As much as I love the art. But I definitely, even to this day, I go back and just look at the art of some of my favorite comics. I don't always read them, though. You know, I remember, I'm like, oh, you know what, I really loved Thor 383 or whatever it is. I go back and I just kind of look through the art, but I won't necessarily read them always again. Hey Metatron's Cube, how's it going? I look at the art, then read on to the next panel. Everyone seems to read them different. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess I never really discussed that with anybody before. I guess we read them all just a little differently, which makes it really cool, the fact that we can do that. The image always hits my eye first, I guess. Yeah. Trying to think of real specific instances. I think probably McFarlane was probably the first artist where I just kind of sat down and poured over the art more than just as a way to get to the story that I can think of offhand. I mean, I might be wrong about that, but just because McFarlane stuff was so different, there's so much detail, it really came out of left field. So I remember really pouring over those images. I think this camera's good. I really wanted to make his head elongated on purpose. And it's always interesting because sometimes things look like mistakes. So when you tweak proportions, it can get dicey. Because did he mean to make his head elongated, you know? So you either have to make it really elongated, so there's no chance it was an accident, or you've got to have some other visual cue to let people know that that's on purpose. I guess it depends what you're doing. He does sort of have the classic Dracula widow's peak. I wanted to do that. I also gave him the largest collar I could possibly imagine. So this stage is also where I'm figuring out main shadows and where the light sources are, because I will go over this again with finished pencils whenever I erase it. Now the whole idea is that this guy is kind of appearing out of like mist or fog or something like that, so that's why he's kind of swooping, we'll say, from the right to the left up behind Horace. So his cloak, I have to figure out a good way to make it look like his cloak is materializing out of the mist or out of the ground or something like that. I will see when I get there. I have two. Do you have a story for this vampire in mind yet, or just a pinup? Yeah, I do. This one I've had sort of in the back of my head for a while. The kicker is, when can I actually get it into a book? But I definitely have a story in mind and a new location. I was thinking sort of like a pocket universe that is just one giant graveyard, the whole thing. So it's a universe that's a cemetery. So I have definitely have an idea of him and kind of how he'll be involved. It will, as of right now, it seems like it's just going to be a one-off story. I don't have anything big planned, but anytime I introduce a character, there's always a chance that they're going to pop up again, I don't like once you meet a character, they're always in the background of my head doing things potentially. So I don't want to say we'll never see them again or anything, because their paths could cross again later on. So these areas right here really are the most important part of the entire drawing. You're just going to zoom in on Horace's head and get his torso, and then you're going to look at this vampire guy. So I got those pretty good as far as being roughed out. I feel like it works. So then I can move on to other areas of the drawing. But if those would have given me significant problems, then I'd have to make sure those work first before moving on, because if they didn't work, then the drawing's not going to work. It's like getting a face wrong. It's really, things aren't going to go well if you get the face messed up. And granted, sometimes you don't even notice. That's totally legitimate. You will look at something a day or a week later, or a month, and be like, what did I do? But to the best of your abilities, at least. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I kind of know why I called him Vampire Grandpa. But I do actually have this resin model called Nosferatu Too Old for This Stuff, which is legitimately like a satire of a geriatric Nosferatu. He's got bifocals and orthopedic shoes, and I thought it was kind of funny. So I have a resin model kit. Actually, I have an Etsy store with that up. I just like the idea of, I don't know, thinking about vampires a little differently. One of the other stories I have in mind, after I'm not done with Horace, because I'll probably be doing Horace forever, but maybe a break or something, is a vampire graphic novel series. If I have to pick my favorite monster, it's gonna be vampire. I've read entirely too many vampire novels in my day. Now at this point, you definitely need some paper, because if I try to draw, it'll smear that whole area. So you got to use a piece of paper or something to make sure you don't smear all the work you just did. I mean, you will to some degree. It's inevitable, but you just try to minimize it. So it looks like it's a 26, so only one more day to get the Alterna merch. So if you haven't gotten anything and you want to, definitely go to alternacomics.com. I'm pretty excited about the hoodie and the blanket. The blanket has one of my favorite drawings that I've done as of yet. It's Horace in a library. I made a poster of it, actually. And there's a bunch of information and artifacts and pieces of stories in there. So that blanket's going to be pretty fun. I use an HB lead, but sometimes the HB lead is a little too soft. It's weird. Different companies, I don't know how they decide the lead hardness, but I swear companies are different. Yeah, penciling is definitely a more it requires more concentration than inking. Pinups aren't quite as bad, but if you're doing like an actual layout for a page, that's really tough. Sometimes I won't even put on anything in the background when I'm getting that first initial layout. Unless I'm looking for inspiration or something. Is there any good comics that you guys are reading that I should know about? I don't know if I'll have time to read them. I can always put them on my pile of unread stuff. I'm not a fan of how this goes up. I definitely saved detail for later on, so I almost started to put like folds in for the pouches when that really does not need to happen now. It'll just make things easier to smudge. It'll just get in the way more than anything. So I got a little more Horace H. Hoover kind of carved out. So then I'll jump up to like this hand area. I want to make sure that that's solid. Whenever I'm drawing hands, if you can make the pinky just do something completely different than the other fingers, it always looks more realistic. I don't know why that is, but I always try to have the pinky doing something else. Kevin G. I recently ordered the anthology books from Antarctic Press. Titles are called Exciting Comics and Jungle Comics. Antarctic Press sounds familiar. I'm gonna check them out. Now I want something in the background. I don't want this just to be mist. Like I said, I wanted this sort of universe of, it's like a graveyard, basically. But I want like a caretaker house, at least, where some crazy things can happen in. So I need to have some sort of structure. But it can kind of be wonky. So it can really be loose with it. You know, it can be leaning, it can be... I might actually get reference for this before I nail that down entirely. at least see a few examples before I jump in and do it entirely from imagination. Anarchic Press is an independent company that has a lot of manga style, like Ninja High School, but the anthology books are normal American type. Huh. Actually sounds pretty cool. So the light is coming from the top right, which I tend to do a lot. So I actually just put a little indicator. That way I don't have to think too hard about it. I figured the house would be Victorian, maybe. I do want to make sure these don't look like tentacles, because they're not. They're pieces of fabric, but they kind of have a life of their own, we'll say. They are flat, so I want to make sure that they look flat. And I'll probably do a design on top of them, like a fabric design to really drive it home. Maybe even do threading on the side or something like that. Oh wow, it's 3:43. So yeah, you can see how not far along I am after 45 minutes. So something like this usually takes 6 hours, 7 hours to really do all of the pencils. I will try to do it all on stream. I like starting and finishing on stream to have the whole thing recorded. So I haven't really done anything by his feet, because I know it's really exciting to watch people draw feet. Definitely want the drawing to go all the way down to the bottom though, just in case you need to trim it or crop it. So again, I'm just gonna rough that in. I think his cloak looks a little too organic. It's got to be some straighter lines in there. I definitely want to make sure that I show some graveyard stuff, you know, some monuments, or I don't need to go crazy with it. It's really just, you just want to kind of give an idea of where this is. Even if the reader doesn't know exactly where, when they're looking at the cover, they can see, you know, some tombstones and maybe a mausoleum or something like that. Definitely need to figure out how to show this cape sort of just appearing. It's going to be a tricky one. It's going to take some clever inking. Oh man. Alrighty. It's actually probably a good time to take a picture of it and then flip it. See if there's any issues. Still plenty of time to fix it if I find something at this stage. It's an extreme pose for Horace, but I kind of like it. So when you flip it, you definitely see that. His hand might be a little too small, though. That's the only thing that I can really see. And maybe this leg might be a little thin. Yeah, I'm going to make his hand a little bigger. Sometimes you want more extreme or different poses. There's, you know, seeing the same characters in the same poses over and over again, to me, gets so boring. You know, the typical superhero pose, and I don't know. So this is just roughed in to see if it's big enough. Actually, I'm gonna. Yeah, that works. It's an extreme pose, but again, I'm going to go for it just because I want to do something a little different. Yep. So that hand really made a big difference. I just had to make it bigger. I tried 3 times there. And it wasn't until you flip the drawing till you realize how much bigger you need to make it. It's such a crucial step. Now, I haven't refined the hand at all, but I have it blocked out, which is fine. So what I might do for the cloak, maybe I'll have like grass or weeds or something kind of getting whipped up, and then I'll just be very conscious that the cloak lines kind of meld into that almost. I think that should give the impression I'm looking for. I should say. So we'll see. All right, I got about 5 minutes left. I don't know if we're really going to do much in 5 minutes. Now, the trick with his hose, I will say this, is instead of thinking of it as like an organic hose, what I'll do sometimes is make pipes, basically. So I'll do pipe here, pipe here, like these long segments of pipe, which helps with perspective. Because sometimes with an organic cord like that, it's very difficult to maintain the right perspective. So I'll do the same for the top. Like this would be in perspective, and then a little piece here which is in perspective, and then you would have a piece going down. But you'll notice this pipe piece is actually overlapping the back piece. So instead of just a smooth arc, I have to make sure whenever I do the segments that it actually overlaps to maintain real perspective. Because then the perspective police come out, and it's all over once the perspective police get here. I'm not gonna lie, I'm part of the perspectives police. If I see bad perspective in a drawing, I definitely point it out, because it's just something my eye immediately goes to. Some people don't notice it at all, which honestly is great. I mean, if you don't need it, if it's not necessary in the storytelling, sometimes it's totally fine. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not one of those people. I see it and it really sticks in my craw. So I don't have any choice. I have got to fix it. Now, as far as the plug is concerned, I definitely just do an organic line for that, because that's really, it's like a secondary motion line, really. Sometimes. It's not 100% accurate, because depending on what you're trying to do in the drawing, accurate might obfuscate storytelling. So accuracy isn't always the number one goal, but you start there and kind of go from there. Alrighty, it's 3:39. Let's kind of see where we're at. Definitely made some progress. This was a really rough sketch before I started the stream, so yeah, the characters kind of roughed out a bit. A little bit of detail, important detail, perspective on the helmet, things like that. His facial structure, which is very important. So yeah, it's coming along pretty well. Thanks everybody for joining in chat. I appreciate it. I will continue with this one probably over the next week or so, and then I'll ink it, so you guys will see pencils, inks, the whole kit and caboodle. How the sausage is made. Alright, anyway, hope everybody's having a good weekend, and I will talk to you later. Thanks.